Today I wanted to talk about building a sensory toolkit that can be used to help calm anxiety. A sensory toolkit is a collection of physical objects that can be used to help calm and ground yourself through the use of your senses. First, you'll want to get a box that you can collect all of your self-soothing items in so that they're together for when you're experiencing heightened emotions or feeling distressed. If you have an old gift box or shoe box, you can decorate it to make it your own by using photos or positive messages. Keep this box where you can easily access it so that you can use it when you need it. Now that you have your box, this is where you can personalize what goes inside. I will include a list of ideas of what can be included into your self-soothing box at the end of this video. The first sense that I'll put into the box is vision. For this one, I included a self-care wheel that I made and a glitter jar that I made. So for the self-care wheel, I made this because sometimes it's easier to have a visual representation of things that you like to do when you're feeling down, because many times when you're feeling down, you're not thinking about how you can get better. You're just kind of reminding yourself, like, I need to start feeling better. So for me, I like to have that visual of what can I do when I'm feeling down. And on the back, it just has some positive quotes. And I also included the glitter jar because I just like to watch all the different shapes of glitter that are kind of floating around in there. Just something fun to watch. The next sense that I have going into our sensory toolkit is touch. So for this one, I'm going to include a stress ball that I made out of a balloon and all-purpose flour. I'm going to also include my Play-Doh because that's something that I enjoy playing with. Going to include a few of these pom-poms. So I have a few different textures with these. I have these that have these like sparkly bits, and then these that are just your more traditional arts and crafts pom-poms, but they have different textures and different bounce to them. So those are always kind of fun to play with. And then I also have my kinetic sand, which if you've never played with kinetic sand, I highly recommend it. It's very calming. And then the last thing I have going into our box for touch is just these worry stones that I have. So I have them in a few different shapes here, different colors. And these are always nice because you can simply just kind of take them in your hand. You can kind of keep a couple in your hand at a time, or you can just rub one between like your thumb and kind of a couple of fingers. And that just kind of helps to release some anxious energy. The next sense that we'll add to our toolbox is smell. So for this one, I have a stick of my favorite incense, and I also have my favorite candle. So those are two things that I typically like to burn when I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious, just as a way to kind of help relax because they have a nice kind of mellow, soft scent to them, nothing overpowering. I also have my perfume oil, so typically I will carry one of these with me, just so if I start to feel overwhelmed or anxious when I'm in public, I can actually just kind of roll it onto my wrist and kind of rub them together, and that way I can smell it, and it just calms me down throughout the day. The next sense going into our toolkit will be for sound. So for this one, I just have a sound machine, because typically when I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious, I don't like the sound of people talking. I don't like the sound of music or TV or anything like that. I just like the sound of a fan running or white noise. And so this one actually has both fan and white noise on it. And so that's why I like to have this one with me when I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious. Our last sense going into our sensory toolkit is taste. For this one, I have two different kinds of peppermints. So I have our classic Starlight Mint that's kind of crunchy, and then I also have our soft mints here, which are just soft and kind of melt in your mouth because sometimes depending on how you're feeling, you'll want something crunchier or something softer. And if you're anything like me, when you're feeling anxious or stressed or overwhelmed, you reach for some sour candy. So here, I just have some cherry sours. I hope this video gives you an idea of what you can include in your self-soothing sensory toolkit for the next time you start to feel stressed or anxious. If you're not sure what to include, start by noticing the things that you reach for when you are feeling anxious. Are you reaching for sour candies, or are you just listening to a playlist? This can help guide you in ideas of what to include in your self-soothing sensory toolkit. I'll also include a list of ideas on the next slide. I'll see you in the next one.